Hello everyone and welcome to Retail Archaeology. Today's episode is something that a lot of viewers have requested over the years, and I finally feel like I have enough footage to do it. So what we're looking at here is some footage from October 2017 that I filmed of the big fountain that's at Horton Plaza. A lot of people have been asking for like a fountain compilation video with all of the cool fountains that I've filmed and the fountain cam shots I've done over the years, so that's what we'll be taking a look at in this episode. This is actually probably one of my favorite fountains that I've ever filmed, especially at night, because I love all of the lighting and everything. Now, unfortunately, Horton Plaza is now closed and being redeveloped, but I believe these fountains are still outside in the courtyard. Now let's move on to the Indio Fashion Mall in Indio, California. This is one of my favorite dead malls that I filmed. It's a little on the small side, but it hasn't been updated in a very long time, and I found this obelisk-like fountain pretty interesting. And we all know I love skylights, so this is great with the big skylight over the fountain. This mall was very dead when we filmed it, and from what I understand, it's only gotten worse. Now this footage is from a newer video, actually my latest dead mall video that I did. This is the outlet malls at Anthem, and there are quite a few small fountains at this one. And this was filmed with a new camera that I just recently got, a GoPro Hero 9. I'd been filming with a Hero 6 for a lot of years. That was a workhorse for the channel, but upgrading to the Hero 9 has been great. The microphone's a lot better, the image stabilization is a lot better, so it makes for some really great fountain cam shots. Kind of surprised how little change was in here. Here's a couple of shiny dimes. And here's another one of the fountains in front of the, from what I'm told, temporarily closed sunglass hut. I'm still not sure what happened there, why the windows are all boarded up and everything. In my original video, I had mentioned that I had a hard time finding a lot of history on this place, like, for example, the original name of it. Thankfully, a viewer by the name of JP Explorer was able to dig into some old county records that I couldn't find, and found a lot more info on this place. Its original name was the Prime Outlets at New River. This is real close to New River, and this was all part of New River before the Anthem master plan community was developed. It also looks like this was purchased by the current owners, Craig Realty Group, for $31.5 million back in 2001 from the original developer, which was Prime Retail Inc. So again, thank you so much, JP Explorer, for digging up that old information so that I could share it with everybody here. Now, besides fountains at this mall, there was something else I filmed that I didn't include in the original video, but I'm going to go ahead and show it here. This is the first mall that I've been to that has a car wash, and this was kind of an interesting car wash to go through. They had a lot of color changing lights and things in it. Made it a little bit more visually interesting to go through than just a plain old car wash. See that light changing colors up there? Once you get underneath it and you've got all the suds on your windshield, it gives you kind of a neat light show. I wish they had continued that all the way through the car wash, though. That would have been really cool. Something else that I didn't talk about in my original video on this place is the Christmas tree that they put up every year. They put up a very, very large Christmas tree every year, and every year it is the largest Christmas tree in Arizona, and some years it's been the largest Christmas tree in the United States. For example, in 2010, they had a 110-foot white pine, and that at the time was the tallest Christmas tree in the United States, so that's kind of neat. Now, unfortunately, when we visited here, they were just starting to decorate for Christmas, and they hadn't put the tree up, and from what I read in the paper the other day, they put the tree up just a few days after we had visited, so we just missed it. I may go back and film the Christmas tree that they put up this year, because I'm thinking about doing a video covering Christmas decorations and Santa shops and stuff at different malls. It's kind of a Christmas special video. when Mark and I drove up here, it was about an hour drive, and a lot of it was highway driving. So by the time we got here, my windshield was a bug massacre, like a bug graveyard. There was just bugs splattered all over it. So I wanted to run the truck through the car wash before we turned around to drive home. What's kind of aggravating is I think this is one of the longest automatic car washes I've taken my truck through, and this seems to be the case for all of them, but I was really annoyed about this one with as long as it was, is no matter how much crap they spray all over your car and how many of these rolling sponge things they hit it with, it never is as clean as it would be if you just washed it yourself. But at least we could drive home and see out the windshield. Now let's head to the El Pedregal Festival Marketplace in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is one of the earlier dead malls that I filmed when I started making videos, and this one has one of my favorite water features ever. Unfortunately, it was a really windy day, so you're going to hear a lot of wind noise from the mic, and this was filmed with my GoPro Hero 6, which has a terrible mic to begin with. I've never seen a camera with a mic that is so terrible but so sensitive at the same time. But this water feature is great. It's a long waterfall that goes down along the stairs and feeds into a bunch of ponds down at the bottom. This whole little dead mall is really beautiful. They do a good job of keeping up the landscaping and everything, even though it's mostly empty. And down in the ponds, those are actually koi ponds. There's live fish in them. It's kind of funny, they swim up to anybody that walks up to the edge. I'm guessing that's because they think food's going to be dropped into the pond. But here we can see that large waterfall that runs down in between the stairs. And it's cool, there's a little bench there, and then the water feature actually goes under that bench and down into the pond. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the very first fountain cam shot that was done on the Retail Archaeology channel, and it may be one of the best just because of the live koi in here. As far as I know, this place is still open to the public, and the koi are still here, and it's a really beautiful place to walk around when the weather is nice. And there is one restaurant that's open, I think it's still open, called the Spotted Donkey. That's a fantastic Mexican food restaurant. So if you're looking for a nice place to just take a nice stroll, this is a great place to go. Now this is the little fountain that's in Paradise Valley Mall in the food court. This is one of my favorite fountains, even though it's little, just because it's one that I remember from my childhood, and up until very recently it was still working. The last time I was here it was dry, which kind of sucked. I also read in the newspaper today that redevelopment plans for this mall, preliminary plans, have been submitted to the city, so it looks like this mall's days as a traditional indoor mall may be numbered. Which isn't surprising, this place has struggled for a lot of years. Now here we're at Superstition Springs Center. This is another mall that I grew up going to, and one that I lived very close to as a kid. Now, as neat as this water feature is, it is not original to the mall, and it actually replaces a much cooler fountain that was here when it first opened, that actually converted into a round stage where they had live musical performances and stuff. It was really cool. This thing's alright, but it's not as good as the original fountain. This whole courtyard area has changed quite a bit since the mall originally opened. That Cheesecake Factory wasn't original. That replaced a really cool nature trail and playground that was here that had a giant Gila monster slide. It was just the coolest thing to slide down when you were a kid, and then they just replaced all that with a crappy Cheesecake Factory that I don't know that anybody wanted. I'm not a fan of that place. And this little thing is just barely deep enough for me to submerge my GoPro in, but I still thought this was a pretty cool shot. No change in here either, that's kind of surprising. Now for this one I wanted to show the entrance to this mall. This is the first Plaza Galeria in downtown Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the reason I wanted to show the entrance is when I put my video out on this place originally, I got tons of comments from people that say, I've lived in Albuquerque for 25 years and I had no idea this was here. And I think it's just because there's only a few of these entrances kind of spotted around downtown that lead into these stairwells that go down into the mall, because it is underground. I really enjoyed this place because I had never been in an underground mall like this before. But besides it being underground, once you got down into the middle part of it, there was a really cool fountain down here. This thing just screams 1980s. When I was looking at reviews on Google of this place, a lot of people mentioned that this fountain had unfortunately been broken for a long time, so I wasn't expecting it to be working when I got here, but it looks like they maybe just fixed it, because it looks like it's working perfectly. To quote the game Mall Tycoon, this fountain is definitely an aesthetic asset. Not every mall that I cover is dead. This is Scottsdale Fashion Square, which is a very busy and popular mall. And this is the entrance to the new luxury wing that opened not too long ago. I liked this shot quite a bit because I think the reflection of the rocks in the top of the water looked really interesting. Now this is another mall that's not necessarily dead, but it may be there soon. This is SanTan Village in Gilbert, Arizona. And in this part of the mall, it's an outdoor mall, but in this part in front of the theater, there's a lot of water features and a big fountain here in the middle. This is also near where the food court used to be. This wasn't filmed that long ago, and I don't think that Crazy for Churros place is there anymore. This is actually currently my local mall. This is the one that I live the closest to. And it's funny because it's probably the one that I go to the least, even though it's the closest to me. And that Forever 21 location was featured in my video on Forever 21. This is the Scottsdale Seville. This is a little tiny outdoor mall thing in Scottsdale, Arizona that is pretty much empty. It has a few restaurants still left in it. But I loved this fountain shot because it reminds me a lot of the trench scenes on the Death Star in the Star Wars movie. Also a lot of little floaties and stuff in this fountain. You'll see what I mean when I start to move the camera here, though. It looks just like you're looking out from an X-Wing flying through the trench on the Death Star. All of those glass bead rocks that you're seeing, those are actually from a fire feature that's from one of the closed restaurants. It looks like people took those and chucked them into the fountain. Now this is one of the oldest shopping malls in Phoenix, Arizona. This is Town and Country. And when this place first opened, there were a lot of fountains and water features here. Now unfortunately today, there's only one working fountain left. We filmed this place in July in the middle of the afternoon, which I don't know why we thought that was a good idea because it was about 117 degrees outside, I think. It was really hot and we were dripping with sweat. So this was actually a great fountain cam shot to shoot because even though it was just like my arm and hand going in here, I got cooled off. I was very tempted to just dunk my whole head in here. We were so hot. And we'll wrap things up at the Arizona Center in Phoenix, Arizona. This is kind of a weird outdoor dead mall thing. It's not so much a mall anymore as it is a like downtown lunch destination during the week. All of the shops are pretty much empty and closed now, and ASU occupies the third floor. But outside of it, there's a huge pond and water feature with fountains and sculptures. This was filmed in a nicer time of the year, so it was just gorgeous walking through here. Besides the water features that we're looking at, there's also trails that lead off into different art exhibits. This is another place that if you're looking for somewhere quiet to like read a book or just take a nice stroll, I'd highly recommend the Arizona Center. Also, right near where this fountain is in the Arizona Center, there's a Bosa donut shop, which Bosa donuts are the best donuts, hands down. You're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. So this was a great place to like enjoy a donut while you were walking around. I really like this place a lot. All of these malls that we've taken a look at in this video have videos on my channel covering them. At least one video. Some of them have multiple videos, like Horton Plaza, for example. So if any of these places look interesting to you, I'd definitely recommend checking out the full videos on each of these places. And I'll put links to each of those videos down in the description below. The reason why I film the fountains so much at malls when I go to them is because one of the things disappearing faster than malls are mall fountains. When malls start to die, one of the first places they look to cut costs are maintenance costs, and these fountains are not cheap to run. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this fountain compilation video. As always, thanks for watching. Want to see your name here? Head on over to patreon.com/Retail Archaeology to find out how you can help support the channel. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this episode of Retail Archaeology. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more compilation videos like this. I plan on doing one on mall Christmas decorations, so just let me know down there in those comments.